Up next, why new hires are making more money. We'll also talk about the biggest threat to your next step. We'll take your calls, your chats, and so much more. It all starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do that, and how you can get there. I'm Ken, and I'm so excited to have you with us live here on YouTube. 844-747-2577 is the phone number. You can call in right now. 844-747-2577. And if you're in the chat room, I want to say, hey, and I got a question for you. Are you excited about your potential? Give me a thumbs up there in the chat room and encourage each other. We'll get to your chats a little bit later in the program, so you can fire those questions now. Or as you get inspired, share a comment to encourage somebody. When you hear a caller call it, and you say, hey, I felt that way, or way to go. This is a wonderful community. So be engaged and have some fun. All right. Let's talk about something that is a little bit of a troubling situation for many of you, or it might become a troubling situation. Why new hires at your company are getting high pay, but some of you who have been there a while aren't getting raises. Uh-oh. Now that will create some tension. But I want you to understand there are some factors at play, and many times you might feel very threatened or undervalued, and it feels extremely personal. I get that. But I want to at least give you some light on this subject and then how to handle this. So here we go. What's happening? Why is this happening? Labor economists are calling this salary compression, which is what happens when companies get a tight rein. They get tighter with their budgets on raising current employee salaries, but at the same time, as they attract new talent and need to attract new talent, they're forced to pay higher wages. The gap between longtime employees and new hires' pay keeps shrinking, often vanishing and beyond. As of the second quarter in 2019, a report from Conference Board's Labor Market Institute, this trend shattered all previous records. The salary gap between the wages of 20 to 24-year-olds and 25 to 34-year-olds who have been working longer declined to its smallest size in 36 years. Now, salary compression is not a new phenomenon. Okay? Employers who have resisted boosting salary budgets for existing employees beyond an annual average of 3%, this has been happening since the Great Recession ended a decade ago. But, and this is the key thing to understand, at the same time, demand for talent has increased. What has changed in the past, the last couple of years, that creates tension with this reality is that people can not only learn what other people make online at things like Indeed and places like this. So the idea of I can go see what other people are making and see the market value out there and how the market's changing with my salary. Coworkers are more willing to discuss this than they used to be, right? So we've become more transparent as a society, and this onslaught of information, being online, as well as people talking about it on the office, you've got people that have been at a company for a while, and they're making less than new hires. Ooh. Now, leaders, team members, we got to take something here, and we got to be big boys and big girls, because what's going on is you've got an economic factor. It's called salary compression, and it's just the nature of the game. So, okay, Ken, I get it. Doesn't make me feel any better. What do I do? Glad you asked. Number one, you're going to have to change your attitude, because if you let this poison you, it's going to put you in a really bad situation. And you need to change this attitude where I feel devalued, which is normal. I'm not saying that it's not normal to feel that way. I'm saying you can't focus on that feeling, or it's going to put you in a bad place. So let's change our attitude to gratitude. Okay, at least I've got a gig right now. And then let's lead to number two, which is change your location. If leadership doesn't have a plan for your growth that involves obviously influence and responsibility and then compensation, and you don't have a growth plan, then you need to be looking elsewhere. But look quickly, because the economy is still hot. So all of a sudden, If you've been there a while and you're not making as much as new hires and there's no growth plan for you, what do? You become a new hire for somebody else. It's pretty practical stuff. But you better move quickly because the job economy right now is still white hot, and you just turn yourself into a new hire somewhere else, okay? Or in your present situation, sit down with your leader, and if they really, really value you and they have a growth plan for you, then that will include compensation. But don't turn yourself into this bitter person who's walking around like a human Eeyore comparing yourself to somebody else. That is not good for you or your future. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Hey, before we get to the phones, two things I want to tell you. Number one, if you're enjoying the program, subscribe right there below the video window and like today's episode. That tells YouTube people are engaging. So if you are engaging, would you do that thing for us? And then also, as we get ready to jump into the phones, we've been doing this show now for almost 3 years, but obviously day 3 here on YouTube. And I want you to know that as you begin on the journey, or if you're already a ways down the journey and you've joined our conversation and you step into that dream job, it doesn't mean it's the only job you're going to have, but you're now in that sweet spot, let's call it that, where you're using what you do best to do what you love and creating a result that matters to you. Well, I want you to call in and share your story. How'd you get there? Where were you? What'd you do? Where are you now? How does it feel? And we call that a dream scream. And we'll let you share your story because people get inspired from you. They feel like, hey, if she did it, I can do it. If he did it, I can do it. And so email the show, ask@kencoleman.com, or call the number 844-747-2577. Leave a voicemail and tell Madison, the associate producer, you want to do a dream scream. And at the end of your conversation and story, you'll count it down from 3, 2, 1, and scream, I'm living the dream. We play some great music. We celebrate. So know that we want those stories because those are the stories that really encourage the community. 844-747-2577 is the number. We start today in Albany, New York, where Trace is on the line. Trace, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call.
Well, Trace, I'm living the dream. What's going on?
So I currently work for a great company, have a great job, I make a good salary, but I was reached out to from a recruiter with an opportunity for a vice president position making about $25,000, $30,000 more than what I currently make. Mm-hmm. But my company's been very, very good to me, and I have some loyalty to them. They allowed me to move across the country and work from home for my family's benefits. So I'm trying to debate, do I remain loyal or do I kind of go after maybe a better opportunity for a larger salary?
Yeah, I want you to just listen to what you just said because I get this call a lot, and I'm so glad you called today because what you've presented to me is, Ken, do I be loyal or do I take a really good opportunity? Like, why? You know, and I mean, that's what you just said. And to you, that's a really clear choice, and I don't see it that way. I see it as this isn't about loyalty. This is about you moving forward and advancing in the work you love. So to me, it has nothing to do with loyalty to this current company. It has everything to do with, does this new offer just pay more, or is it an opportunity to step up the ladder in my sweet spot? Now, that's what I want to know. So let's just walk through the 3 qualifiers. Trace, does this new opportunity allow you to use what you do best?
Yes.
Does this new opportunity allow you to do work that you really, really love?
Yeah.
Does this new opportunity create results that mean something to you? At the end of your day and week, you're going to go, this was work that was meaningful to me. It created results that matter deeply to me.
Yes.
Well, then it's in your sweet spot, and it's going to pay you $25,000 to $30,000 more. So as far as I'm concerned, it's in your sweet spot. It becomes a really awesome option for you. Again, not to just make more money, but to stay in your sweet spot, advance, and make more money. And I would assume that this is also going to get you out of your comfort zone and stretch you a little bit professionally, right?
It may. And my concern a little bit, too, is the culture. My current company has an awesome culture. This company, I do business with them currently, and it's a larger firm where the culture would be lesser than what I currently deal with. So
okay, do you know that? Do you know
how much does that cost?
Well, I think the culture matters big time, and I'm so glad you brought it up. You've been listening to the show, haven't you, Trace?
Sure, absolutely. I love it.
How confident are you that you have a good read on the culture?
Pretty confident, just from the folks that I deal with that company or who have left that company recently.
All right. So tell me, what's your number one concern? Let's name this. Let's not speak in generalities. I want you to hear yourself voice your number one concern. All these things are adding up right now, but we've got a let's call it a yellow flag that might be red. Yep. What is the thing you're concerned about? If you take yourself there, you move there, you take this job, and if the culture is what you're concerned about, what's that going to do to you? What are you concerned about? Say it.
My number one concern would be leaving to go to a company that potentially has turnover or has layoffs down the road. My company has never laid anybody off. If this company has a downtrodden year or two, they may lay people off, and I can't deal with that as a remote colleague.
Okay, is that a culture thing? Because that's a business thing. I mean, if companies have downturns, at some point you got to lay people off. That doesn't make you a bad culture. It means you may be a company that needs to be stronger in its business strategy and maybe rainy day kind of preparation. But sometimes, downturns happen in the economy. I may have more of a question about the healthiness of the business and the business model. I don't know if that's a culture thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So is that your number one concern? When I hear culture, I'm talking about culture means shared behaviors. So what are the shared behaviors of the organization? That's culture. These are the habits that are shared. Leadership team, this is the way we treat people, this is the way we work, this is the way we treat our customers. Do you have concerns about those things?
I guess not until I actually would talk to them in an interview.
All right, so here's the deal.
That's something I would obviously question them about.
Great. So here's the deal. I'm not going to tell you that this is a green light then, because that's why you called me. And I think you're thinking the right way. I think your homework assignment is don't just rely on the interview process to glean whether or not this is a healthy culture. You need to go online, these companies like Glassdoor. You need to see what customers are saying about them. Maybe talk to some of the customers. You already work with them. There are ways for you to go get information. And don't rely on just a person who got fired or laid off, because that person might be healthy, but they don't have a good taste in their mouth. We're looking for objective, real feedback on culture. And then Trace, if it's a yes after that, then take it. Because I still feel like a lot of what you're worried about is this company that you're with now has been so good to you and has given you so much opportunity, so much flexibility, and you feel like you're going to be a jerk if you say, hey, guys, it's been good, but deuces, I'm out. And that's not the case. You don't need to feel bad for taking a wonderful opportunity. So I think there's two things you're wrestling with. The loyalty issue, you don't need to apologize to anybody for taking a great opportunity. You just don't. But this other thing, you know what to do and figure it out. And if you've got a gut check that's going, there's just something that doesn't feel right about this, then I'm fine with that. Don't do it. Because the last thing you want to do is step into a role and 6-8 weeks later go, boy, this was a bad move. Take your time on these moves, folks. Take your time. Culture matters. 844-747-2577, the number. We go to Modesto, California, where Renee is on the line next. Renee, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Good morning, Ken. How are you doing today?
I am living the dream, Renee. What's going on?
Okay, very quickly, I think I found my sweet spot. The problem that I'm having is that I'm not sure where to find the role that I should be at, when I go to find work.
Okay, great. So let's tell me what the sweet spot is. What do you do best?
Well, what I do best is when I find a kind of service or a deal that I experience personally, I tell everybody. In fact, I educate them in hey, this is a good deal, financially, or it's a good deal, to make them grow.
Okay. What else? What else do you do? We're talking about what else do you do best. So I wrote down you educate and evangelize. Does that sound right?
Well,
yes.
Not so much evangelize, but yeah.
Well, yeah, sure you do.
You're
not. Yeah, but you're evangelizing. Stop overthinking this thing. You're telling people, oh, this is the greatest product in the world, and here's why. That's educating and evangelizing.
Okay.
What else
Sure.
do you do? I need to know what other, we got to run through this. What else do you do really, really well? Tasks and functions, skills. What do you do well?
Well, I'm a good teacher.
All right. That's the educate. So you're a good communicator, right?
Right.
Okay. What do you love to do? What do you love to do? You're going to see a lot of overlap here. Tell me what you love to do. Work that just fires your soul up. You get excited about it, and time seems to just kind of disappear when you're engaged in it. Tell me.
Basically, teach, but not teach in a classroom setting type thing, kind of like a trainer.
There you go. There we go. You love to train and instruct. I'm also going to say illuminate. Are you starting to track with me?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do these words make sense to you? Right? And the idea of, okay, so then what are the results of that work? That okay, I have used my skills of communication, the ability to enlighten people, illuminate, to train, to instruct, to guide, and I've used these things. I do well. I also love doing these things. You have tremendous crossover there, and that's what it should look like in your sweet spot. You should actually enjoy doing the things that you're really good at, right? That makes sense. Right. All right, so then what are the results? What would be the results of that work that you go, Ken, my gosh, what a week, what a month, what a year, what a career?
Well, to be honest with you, for some time, I was a martial arts teacher, and I really enjoyed that. It was something that, I would work like 8 to 12 hours teaching.
Okay, but what are the results? Tell me what the results were. I understand that's a position. You just came up with one of your own answers. You said, Ken, what are the roles in my sweet spot? Well, and an instructor is a role. I think that is the one word that I would give to you, or trainer. Same word. So let's call it trainer. What are the results? You want to train somebody to have what result? What are the results that fire you up when you're done training somebody? They say what to you, or you see this result and you go, oh, that's awesome. Answer that.
That by what I give them, they can grow and it solves a problem.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
I gave a copy of your book to a coworker of mine because she had no idea what she wanted to do.
Right.
And yesterday she came to me and goes, "Hey, that's the best book that I have read."
Well, how about that? Thank you very much, Renee. See, what did I call you earlier? I called you an evangelist. You were an evangelist for the proximity principle. Thank you very much. But here's what I want to drive at, and I think you're really close.
Okay.
We locked in the first two things, the two elements, what you do best and what you love to do most. So to find the role in your sweet spot, we got to match up the last piece, the results that matter most. Do you want to see people enlightened? Do you want to see people being brave, feeling safer? See, when you're teaching somebody martial arts, you're doing two things for them. A, you're giving them confidence and also something they can use to protect themselves and others. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Right. Yes.
What are the results that if you're training people, because the issue is you need to be training people on some level, training, guiding, instructing. You agree with that?
Yes.
What do you most want to instruct, guide, train? What is that thing, or what's that result? And the way you need to wrestle with this is, who do you most want to help? What problem do you want to solve? What solution do you want to provide? You've heard me say those three questions before. You're that close. You got to answer the question. So I'm going to put you on the spot, and then I'll let you go. And don't worry if you don't have the answer yet. It's this close, Renee. When I ask you the question, who do you most want to help? What problem do you most want to solve? What solution do you most want to provide? What jumps to the top of your head? Say it now, Renee. Go.
I want to help people, that are maybe struggling financially.
There we go. Hey, Renee, we just got it. Now listen, I know I just put you in a vulnerable situation, but I did that on purpose because I want you to stop thinking and I want you to start listening to your heart, because we've gone through the brain exercise of the sweet spot exercise. We know what you do best, what you love to do, and now it's about the results that matter. And the results that matter to you are helping people in their financial lives, because that affects so many things. Does that feel good, Renee?
Yes.
All right, Renee. Now, this is an exercise. You've got the proximity principle. You love it. You've told other people about it. I appreciate that, but I want you to reread it because now it's about getting around other people that are helping people financially. Does that mean that you're going to be an investment advisor? Does it mean that you're going to work for a company like Ramsey Solutions that provides hope financially and other things? You know, you got to start to look for, okay, wait a second. I need to be in the role of training on some level every day. How can I help do that? And identify all the ways that you can train people financially and where you can train people financially. And now we've got a target. And that's how it works. 844-747-2577. How you all doing in the chat room there? You having fun? Give me a thumbs up if you're having fun. You're going, hey, man, I can do this. I can get there. And don't forget to like the show. Here we go to the chat room. I love this. And one of the reasons I love this, Joe and Nathan, is the usernames. I will never, ever get bored with some of these usernames. Let's go to Christina Wildcat. This is for her daughter. What would you list on a resume for an 18-year-old that has had only one job? Anything to specifically point out? Point out that you're 18 years of age. We've got some data recently that hiring managers are spending 7.4 seconds looking at a resume. And you combine that, Christina, with the fact that we've got a resume template right now, an incredible guide, by the way. It's a PDF that explains why we do our resume differently here on the Ken Coleman Show. This is amazing. Over 100,000 people have downloaded this. And if you go to kencoleman.com right now, download this for your daughter, Tara, and read it with her and then use the template. And what you've got to let people know is she's 18. They're going to know she's 18 because you're going to use connections. You're not relying on a resume here. A resume is worthless without a relationship. This is what I teach in my resume guide. So, Christina, what you need to do is you're leveraging relationships and connections to get her interviews. They're going to know, A, she's 18, which means she's not going to have a long body of work. So they're not looking at this resume going, why does she only have one job? No. You put the information in that's relevant and the one job, and it's not going to be a big deal. She's not applying for a CFO position. So don't overthink this. Do it exactly the way I teach it at kencoleman.com. Download all three, by the way, Get Hired guides. We've got the resume guide. We've got the how to win the interview by preparing so you perform well. And then we have a touch point timeline Get Hired guide that teaches you how to follow up so that you stand out post-interview. We do all the work for you, folks. We tell you what to do and how it works and why it works. So go get them right now, kencoleman.com, the Get Hired guides. Eli writes in, how do you handle a manager that is belittling you or being disrespectful? Okay, you got to be clear here and you got to be respectful, even though you feel disrespected and hurt. This is going to take tremendous maturity and tremendous discipline, Eli. So you've got to go to the leader, and here's what you have to say, and here's how you say it. So I want you to really focus on what I'm telling you here. Number one, before we even say anything, how we say it. Let's prepare ourselves for how we're going to say this. We know you're feeling hurt, and so that puts you on tilt a little bit on edge. So you've got to say, I've got to be calm here, and I don't want this to escalate. I want this to be resolved. Isn't that what you want? You want it to stop. All right. So you go in with a posture of, hey, I'm not going to accuse them. I don't want to go in angry. I want to go in with some humility and say, this is what I'm feeling, and stop coming in there with this mindset of, this is a fact. You hurt me. You're a jerk. Fix this. That's not what we want to do. So we go in with a posture of humility. This is how I'm feeling. I need to express to them how I'm feeling. That leads to what you say. And you just say that, hey, listen, this situation or a couple of situations, when this happened, this interaction, I felt belittled. And I'm not here to accuse you of doing it on purpose. I have no idea what's going on in your head, but it hurt me and it has created some confusion. And just be honest and say, but I'm just simply here to tell you how I feel. And if I'm misinterpreting it, or it was unintentional on your part, and I'm assuming that it was, I just want to clear the air and let you know how I felt. And if I'm missing something or I'm being too sensitive, please let me know. I'm not mad. I'm just a little hurt. And that's the only way to handle that the right way. And because what's going to happen then is the leader's either going to handle that the right way. A healthy leader is going to say, okay, A, I didn't mean it to come across that way, but the reality is perception is reality. This is how you feel, and I want to fix it. Okay, or they're going to tell you you're very sensitive, and you're clueless, and they're going to belittle you some more and dismiss it, at which point that's a real indicator that this may not be where I want to be. Let's take one more. Alec Frechette. I know I want to enter the business world, but it seems that all the jobs I want all require anywhere from 3 to 6 years experience, and I don't know what to do. Well, excuse me. Joe loves when I do that. The old pencil hits the mic screen. When you are going for a job that requires 3 to 6 years experience, I think you are potentially shooting too high. You got to get in. It's like when I started radio, I didn't start showing up at national radio broadcasting companies going, hey, I need a syndicated show. That would be absolutely ridiculous. What did I do, Joe? I showed up on Saturday afternoons and paid my way on. And so, let's be realistic here. Let's get in and let's get the experience necessary that will get me that next level. I just think you have to understand here, Alec, that you're on a ladder. And it feels like to me you're trying to jump on the ladder at the third rung of the ladder. And I don't know that ever works out real well. Joe, I'm not a handy guy, but there's every once in a while I got to get the old ladder out at the house, at the Coleman household. And, it just doesn't make sense for me when I set the ladder down to go, I don't really need the first and second rung. I think if I really focus and time my jump out, I can land on the third or fourth rung. That'll save me 2 steps, and there we go. Who does that? I'm going to tell you who does that. People that aren't real smart. Now, Alec, I'm using a silly analogy here. You are a smart guy, okay? But if I tried to do that on a ladder, you'd look at me and go, Coleman, you're a moron. That's going to lead to a broken ankle or the ladder falling over and something worse happening. And so in this situation, what's rung number 1 or potentially a rung number 2 that you can get in? This is entry level. I write about this in my book, The Proximity Principle. Just get in. Get in. Okay? This is stage 4 of my clear path to meaningful work. Get started. At some point, you got to start. You'll get there, all right? Stage 5 is get promoted, but you got to get in before you can move up. Oh, I'm going to talk about that right now. What a segue. Nathan, I love the segues. Oh, my gosh. Didn't know that question was coming in. I teased it at the top of the program. I said, what's the biggest threat to your next step? Here we go. We're just going to keep on moving. You all right with that? So what's the biggest threat to the next step? This is so important for younger people because the maturity doesn't exist. You don't have a lot of life experience, and we, as human beings, this isn't a young person, millennial or Gen Z thing. This is a human thing, but as you get older, you understand that things sometimes take a lot more time. So we just want things to happen now. And the biggest threat to the next in your career is missing what you need to learn and do and be in the now. Oh, that's so good. Oh my gosh. I hope you all write this stuff down. I hope on YouTube you aren't just sitting there at work and you're not locked in. Let me just say that one more time because you got to write this down. Look at me. Nathan's coming in on me. I want you to look at me right in the eye. The biggest threat to the next step in your career is missing what you need to learn, what you need to do, and who you need to be in the now. If we obsess about the next, we will miss what we need to learn, do, and be in the now. And you ready for this? We'll sacrifice the next. The very thing that we're obsessed about, we will blow it because we're too busy looking this way instead of looking here. I need to be here. I'm in the now. I've got to learn this in the now. I've got to do this in the now. I've got to be this in the now. And it is learning, doing, being in the now. What is expected of me in the now, I've got to win in the now. And when I win in the now, then I get the invitation. the opportunity to step into the next. Now, I'm just going to share from my heart here as I do every day, but I teach this specific lesson because I struggled with this early on. I mean, you think about it. If you want to be in radio and you want to make an impact, and I do, I want to be in broadcasting and make an impact, and I just couldn't get there fast enough, and I had to start out doing Saturday radio where nobody was listening except for Joe, who was across the studio, and my wife, who's a good woman, would tune in from time to time just to give herself a break from the 3 kids. Nobody is listening on Saturday radio. But I needed to learn how to broadcast, how to come up with a thought, how to hit a clock. That's what I had to learn. I had to show up and keep doing it and prove that I could do a show every Saturday. And then I got the opportunity to do it every day. And I had to be somebody on the air that listeners would say, I trust that guy. That guy believes in what he's saying, and he can help me. That is for me, what I had to learn and do and be in the now. And if you aren't willing to win the now, there will be no next. So the biggest threat to your next is you being so focused on where you want to be that you're not becoming who you need to be now. That will change your life. And by the way, that's not just a early on lesson. You're going to have to revisit that lesson in every spot of your life, and parents, teach that to your kids. There is no next if you don't win the now. And there's something about the human spirit. It's a beautiful, unbridled thing, and we've got to harness it. But if we're not careful, the desire to do more will absolutely be the thing that kills the future. And I'm telling you, if you don't learn patience, you can persevere all you want to, and you'll never move forward. Because trying to persist, and you don't have the patience, you're going to turn into a person with a bad attitude who's walking around with a chip on their shoulder, and nobody wants to promote because you're poison. Oh, man, I'm preaching right now. I've got to stop and get back to the phones. People need some help. I'm telling you, that was the biggest lesson I ever had to learn. And it sustained me, kept me in it. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Sasha joins us in Cleveland, Ohio. Sasha, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for taking the call.
Sure. How are you today?
I'm going off of what you were just talking about.
All right, tell you what we need to do. I'm going to put Sasha on hold. Let's see if we can get a better connection. If we got time, we'll get back to you, Sasha. We will get you on the show. Let's go to Abby, who is on the line in Dallas, Texas. Abby, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call today.
Sure. How can I help?
All right. So I'm in an education job in an office, working 55 to 60 hours a week.
Whoa.
Lots of build up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I financially would be okay to take off a year and do something else, but there's a lot of fear in letting go of security with relatively good salary, benefits.
What do you make?
And 57,
Okay.
Insurance paid for. The whole package is about 60.
Okay.
So it's nice.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice at home, working on the computer.
Yep.
And yeah. So what do you think?
You know what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to tell you what I think if you don't accurately describe what I think, but you called me today because you know what I think, and you want me to tell you that what you think is what I think. So tell the audience what you think I think.
That I need to let go of fear.
Yeah. You have nothing to be afraid of.
I need to listen to my heart.
Yeah. And your heart is saying?
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. I mean, listen, this is that simple. You told me just now, and our audience, that you can not work for a year. So the very thing you're afraid of is a silly fear.
Mm-hmm.
You're emotional right now. Tell me why you're crying. I know why. I want you to say it so you can hear why your heart is hurting. Say it.
I don't know if I'm going to say it right, but I'm exhausted and I'm weary, and I want to find the joy back.
Yes. You want joy, and you got no joy because you feel guilty, because you're working at home. You're emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted. Am I right?
Yes.
So you got a year's buffer to replace $60,000 in one of the hottest job economies in the history of our nation. Now, Abby, could you find really good work in less than a year from now if you walk away from this and heal and regenerate? Could you find that work in less than a year and replace that easily?
I believe I could.
You know you can. I'm so glad you used the word believe, because I believe that you can do this. And I'm telling you, is Hubs on board with this? We've already talked about this, right? Before you call it a national radio show. He's on board.
Yes. He just wants me to do something. It doesn't have to make what I'm making now.
Of course. But Abby, you got a year. You got a year. So you're ready for this, Abby? You know what we're going to do today?
What?
You're going to resign today. Today.
Okay.
Today.
That would feel really good.
Oh, my gosh, Abby, it would feel so good.
Yes, it would.
So I'm telling you.
Yes, it would.
Today's the day. And you know what tears you're going to feel later today? They're going to be happy tears. I'm free. I get to love on my babies. I get to go to a yoga class. I get to watch The Bachelor or whatever it is you want to do. Just be free. Because, Abby, here's the deal. You got to heal right now. And then I want you to start to begin to dream again for the first time in a long time and go, wait a second, I can do work that I love with what I'm really good at that creates results that matter deeply to my heart, and I can make good money, and I don't have to work 55 to 60 hours a week. Come on, don't you know that's true, Abby?
Amen. Amen.
Amen. What time is it, Abby? What time is it, Abby?
It's quitting time.
It's quitting time. It's time to go. Abby's out. She's free because life's too short to work in a job you hate that's sucking the life out of you. You got too much to give, Abby. Your family needs you. You need you. Don't you feel bad about this at all? You better resign today. I mean, like, I'm out. Deuces. Love you. It's over. And watch the burden fall off of you. Well, it's time for her to go. It's also time for me to go, and I hate that, but I'll see you tomorrow. I want you to know that you matter, and you do have what it takes. Thanks for joining us. Until tomorrow, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.